Hi everybody, it's James of Cryptoconsh, and today we're going to look at a new airdrop called Senatus that is coming to the Cosmos soon. We're going to look at who is eligible and when, what it is in their white paper, their tokenomics, and seeing as this airdrop is about governance, we're going to look at why cryptocurrencies decide to operate under a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. I'll get into that in a bit. Then we're going to look at current problems associated with the DAO, and finally, current proposed solutions. Let's get into it. So Senatus actually has a pretty cool name. You can see it has 1,664 followers on Twitter. Their token is labeled SPQR, perhaps speaker coin. And there are going to be two airdrops. The first airdrop is the pleb drop. I don't know if you all have seen plebs, but it's very funny. So this will be given to Atom and Juno participants for staking and participation. So this means it's very worthwhile to stake these and vote on governance proposals in advance. It says all aristocrats will be excluded, but it has not defined who the aristocrats are. The second drop will be the Senate drop at 20%, 3 months after the launch of the liquidity pool on JunoSwap. So if you're providing liquidity on JunoSwap and participating in the platform activity, you should be entitled to this. You will be classed as a senator. Upon reading this, it has not been determined exactly when the pleb drop will be released. However, I will be keeping on top of their Twitter. So 2, what is in the white paper? It is an incredibly small white paper with only 2 pages and a considerable amount of spelling mistakes. So basically what this is saying is they're frustrated with the inefficiencies that come from having centralized governance in crypto and will prefer a decentralized form, and they wish to make a platform for this. So they want to set up another platform for governance. Seeing as Senators want to reinvent the wheel that already exists and create a platform for it, although Juno's already done it, in the white paper they haven't actually outlined any issues that are occurring with the DAO at the moment, the decentralized autonomous organization. They haven't mentioned any problems with the voting process. They haven't mentioned any issues that exist in the space. 3, tokenomics. Looking at their remaining token distribution, they should have really increased the size of the words on this white paper, but as we know, the first 40% is here with the pleb drop and the Senate drop. The next is developer vesting, which is 25%, and this will be distributed over time. However, this kind of vague writing frustrates me a little bit. There should be a very specific vesting period. The longer the better. The longer it takes for the development team to receive these assets, the more trust I have in a platform, and the less concerned I am about a rug pull. Of course, as usual, there will be incentives for using the platform, and finally 10% for governance. This should say holders rather than holders. They haven't actually outlined any issues that are occurring with the DAO at the moment, so let me try to explain it for you. So now I'm going to look at what a DAO is and why firms choose it in the first place. DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. So what is curious is many platforms on the Cosmos already utilize decentralized autonomous organizations. So this is what a DAO looks like. So if I'm on OmniFlix and I'm on Juno, I can take a look at the proposals they've had on their DAO. Anybody can put forward their Juno to make a governance proposal. Anybody that owns Juno is able to vote on these proposals. That includes me, you, and even validators, and we'll get into that later. It's completely run on code, mathematics, and voting. You have more voting power the more Juno you have, and everybody that owns Juno is able to guide the future of Juno, providing you own enough to actually make a dent. If we look at the Moneta patch, we can see here what it's about. We can see when it was submitted, we can see the time period, and we can see the voting status. As you can see, there was an overwhelming vote for yes. What it does not show, however, is the turnout. And the interesting thing about a DAO is, even with a 40% turnout, you can still get your vote through. This is an issue many are trying to fix, but we'll get to that later. So moving forward about why firms want to be classified as a DAO. The thing about a DAO is, it is not born of a place, so you cannot identify the country of origin, which is great for circumventing laws. It has no central entity because it's run on code. It's even harder to trace than central entities because all the entities in it, they might have bought these tokens or cryptocurrencies, but all they have is a wallet address. So it's relatively anonymous. And the law in many countries has not caught up with DAOs yet. So all the decisions are made through voting protocols that run on code. And essentially it's like shares. If you own more of this cryptocurrency, you have more power and more voting rights. Well, a lot of the reasons why a DAO is created is to avoid being classed as a security. To be classed as a security, you need to answer yes to these 3 questions. Is there an investment of money with the expectation of future profits? With many investors in a currency, many of us might say yes. Is there investment of money in a common enterprise? Tough one. And do any profits come from the efforts of a promoter or a third party? Now, if this is automated code set to run by itself, is that considered a third party? It is much better to be classed as a commodity. That's because commodity markets are regulated less stringently. The SEC is what rules securities, and the SEC is very clear. Even if there's an initial coin offering without investment, it will still be deemed as a security. That is, of course, if it meets the 3 requirements of the Howey test. Now, what complications does the SEC put on an organization in America if they become classified as a security? Firstly, they must register, and there are fewer restrictions placed on accredited investors. So now they have to be careful who they sell to. So they can sell to directors of companies or executive officers with a net worth over 1 million. Or an individual that has a salary of over $200,000 each year over the last 2 years. So if you get retroactively classified as this, look how this can end up for you. We're going to use two examples. The first example is Kick. Kick sold securities to accredited investors, but because it didn't split these sales types, it still fell under the hammer. There's a lovely $5 million penalty. What about Telegram selling tokens to fund its business? $1.7 billion selling grams. A repayment and an $18.5 million civil penalty. So if you get classified as a security, you better watch out. Places like Wyoming have tried to stay ahead of the law and classified DAOs as partnerships, which gives the owners limited liability, which means if a problem occurs, the business goes bankrupt, they are not liable with their extra resources that they have. Only the amount invested can be taken away. However, they do need a representative for that, which then puts them at risk in the DAO. So we know that DAOs are chosen because they're decentralized. They're not restricted to countries. The users are anonymous, and it's run on code, so there's no central entity to take the blame. Unless organizations find the first human actor or a representative of the DAO, then they have something to start with. Now let's look at the real use of a DAO and some problems that are associated with it. And we're going to do this by using my favorite useless meme coin on the cosmos, Chihuahua. So currently, when I receive my Chihuahua token, I can stake it to different validators, and all these validators have different names, okay? I have to choose this validator based on their voting power, how strong is their voting power, we'll get to that in a moment, the commission they charge, and whether they offer free benefits for me or not, and also whether they have a strong social presence. Now, if we go to mintscan.com, we can see all the validators on Chihuahua token. We can see very clearly that the top 5 validators here control 38% of the vote on Chihuahua. If I click on proposals, the more coins I have, the more voting power I have. What is important as well is you give the validator voting power. So if you decide not to vote, but the validator votes, your tokens are counted in that vote unless you actively go in and change it. So you're essentially giving the validators power to vote in your favor. So when I go here and look at the top 5 validators for Chihuahua, we can see actually they have nearly 40% of the vote. That is scary, isn't it? What if they're all friends? You can also see their participation here in the voting. Look, number 4 with 7% of the votes doesn't even vote. Therefore, this increases the value of these votes here. So this is considered an issue where if there's not enough participation and people are just choosing the top validators because it's easier, and I've fallen prey to that before, these guys are going to have most of the power. So even though it's code-based, it still can have issues when it comes to voting and governance and changing things on the system. And this is what our friends with their 2-page white paper are trying to change, I guess. Now, how have people tried to change these problems? Firstly, what Chihuahua did is really interesting. They tried to make a giveaway. They said they want you to stake with 3 validators and 50% of your coins need to be in validators under the top 20. Therefore, there could be a rebalance, right? It's actually a really good idea. Give people more assets in order to make this rebalance occur. It finished yesterday, but did it work? No, it did not work. So we need to encourage more people to vote. What Juno did with Netta is they gave a crazy airdrop worth around $1,000. But if you had 1 vote on proposals, you would have got $11,000. Can you believe that from the airdrop? Osmosis, even when they gave an airdrop, they encouraged people to vote in governance and they will get more rewards for this. So this is what's happening in the community now. People are being encouraged to vote now with financial incentives. They're trying to get more people like you and me involved in the voting process. Another solution I saw was on Osmosis Zone. It was suggested the commission was charged based on ranking. So the higher up in the ranks a validator was, the higher the commission would be, thus trying to equalize the power of all. However, this was quickly shot down. So ultimately, it is about encouraging more people to vote. It is about encouraging more participation, getting people to learn what a DAO is and how it works. But people are learning. They're getting smarter. They're starting to understand cryptocurrency in a way they never did before. Now I asked a really good question to Joseph at King Nodes. I asked him, how do you feel about this? The response was, what if the validator is giving an extra service that other validators aren't giving? That's a really, really good point. Validators can make good websites which have more factual data for you to look at. Validators might have great online personalities. Validators might give away free airdrops or have lower commissions. Should they not be rewarded for providing a better service and therefore have more say in what goes on? It's an open debate. So ultimately this stands on 2 sides. And I want to ask you, I want to put my question out to you. How do you feel about this? Do you think validators should be able to have more than 5% voting rights or even more than that? Or do you think it should be capped? So well done if you made it to the end of this video. Finally got 1,000 subscribers, so I really appreciate you all subscribing to me. The support means a lot. It's James with Cryptoconsh. Thank you all again, and I'll see you next time.